This is the moment.
The Bachelorette is back. And the power
I'm gonna fall in love.
is in Jen's hands.
And I'm gonna do it my way.
ABC Monday.
Everything about her is great.
I feel so special.
Jen's looking like a queen.
My men are very, very hot.
Someone call 911. You are looking so fired.
This is the beginning of a new era.
The Bachelorette season premiere Monday 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Good morning. It's July 4th, 2024. When we reflect on Independence Day, our thoughts may naturally turn to places like Boston and Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., cities where our founders first gave life to the idea of America nearly 250 years ago. But as I reflect on images of people in tricorner hats, I try to remember that Alabama has a role in this story as well. Because if Philadelphia is the birthplace of America, Alabama is where our nation was reborn. Thousands of foot soldiers put their lives on the line, shed their blood on the soil in places like Selma, Lowndes County, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, and all across our state, to fight for our country to finally live up to its ideal and to truly become a representative democracy. Something that some people argue didn't happen until the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1966. This can, of course, be a painful chapter of our history to think about. But in this news cycle, in this moment in history, it feels more pressing now than maybe ever to think about people like Claudette Colvin, a 15-year-old girl who refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white man just a few short months before Rosa Parks' stand. To think about John Lewis, Fred Shuttlesworth, Martin Luther King, people who were organizing nonviolent campaigns every bit as tactically brilliant and as effective as anything ever conceived of by a military general. To remember that in freedom movements around the world, in places like South Africa, Ireland, Tiananmen Square, protesters have joined together and sung out choruses of "We shall overcome," because they recognize the power that everyday Alabamians and people all across the South, all across this country, had in shaping the future of our nation. People who in times of turbulence and peril dedicated themselves to changing their communities. And instead, they changed the world. I'm John Hammondtree, wishing you a very happy Independence Day, filling in this week for Ike Morgan, and we are down in Alabama. If you're getting ready to celebrate tonight, you're probably keeping an eye on the weather. You may already be feeling it. Air temperatures will rise into the mid-90s for much of Alabama today. If you combine that with higher humidity levels, it's going to feel a lot hotter. The heat index will probably peak somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees for most of Alabama. On the coast, there's going to be lower risk for rip currents on Independence Day, but that's going to change heading into the weekend, where the forecast risk will rise to high and swimming in the Gulf is going to be discouraged. Y'all keep in mind, we've already had a number of high-profile accidents in the Gulf this summer, and y'all just stay safe. As far as rain goes, it's the summer, so there's always the chance of scattered rain and thunderstorms statewide. On the coast, your chances for rain are going to be highest this morning. Further inland, we're going to see higher chances of rain later in the day, but everything should be wrapped up around sunset, hopefully just in time for fireworks shows. On to other news. The transplant games, which feature competitions with athletes who have had organ transplants, are going to be held in Birmingham, with events starting this Friday and continuing through next Wednesday, July 10th, at the BJCC and other venues in the Birmingham metro area. The Transplant Games is a national festival-style event that features about 3,000 athletes competing. The event is designed to promote organ donation and celebrate organ donors and transplant recipients, as well as donor families, individuals on the waiting list, caregivers, and transplant professionals. There are more than 40,000 organ transplants a year in the United States, and the Transplant Life Foundation is hoping to set a new record of more than 50,000 transplants this year. There's 115,000 people in the United States on the waiting list for an organ, and roughly 15 to 17 of them will die every day because an organ was not available, said Bill Ryan, president and CEO of the Transplant Life Foundation. More than 7,000 people are expected to attend the games that will be staged primarily at the BJCC. Events will be free to the public. For more information, go to al.com. On Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Lyle Burke once again put on hold a lawsuit challenging Alabama's ban on gender-affirming cares for minors, while the U.S. Supreme Court mulls a similar case from Tennessee. In a 3-page order, Burke said the hold was necessary given the risk that the Supreme Court may well change the governing standard of review. The Tennessee lawsuit, United States v. Scrimetti, deals with whether a Tennessee law which prohibits all gender-affirming medical treatments for minors violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. The Supreme Court added the lawsuit to its 2024-2025 docket last month, and a decision could come in June 2025. The plaintiffs in the Alabama case and the Justice Department sought a stay after the Supreme Court took up the Tennessee case. The Alabama ban would make it a felony punishable up to 10 years in prison for doctors to treat people under 19 with puberty blockers or hormones to help affirm a new gender identity. And finally, raise a prayer today for a toddler in Arab who is fighting for her life after falling into a swimming pool on her 2nd birthday. The family and friends of Violet May Satterfield are raising money for her medical care after she wandered into a swimming pool without her flotation devices. According to a social media post by the family, Satterfield is stabilized and in a hypothermic sleep. Satterfield was flown to Children's of Alabama, where she is, quote, currently fighting for her life and needs all of your prayers for a miracle, according to the family's GoFundMe page. Y'all stay safe out there. A lot of folks do wind up in the emergency room on 4th of July, and just make sure you aren't one of them. We'll be back tomorrow with another short holiday week episode. In the meantime, for the latest news, come by and see us on AL.com.